This is CNN Breaking News.
This is Piers Morgan Live. Breaking news tonight. A Malaysia Airlines plane carrying 239 people bound for Beijing is missing. According to a statement from the airline, air traffic control lost contact with flight Mh370 from Kuala Lumpur at 2:40 a.m., about 2 hours after takeoff. We're awaiting a press briefing from the airline, which of course we'll bring you live when it happens. I want to go straight to CNN's David McKenzie from Beijing. David, what do we know about this missing plane?
Well, what we know is this plane went missing, according to state media, in Vietnamese airspace, Piers. It was due to land here at 6:30 in the morning local time in Beijing, this Boeing 777 from Malaysian Airlines, a packed plane with 239 people on board, including 12 crew members and 2 infants. They are searching frantically for where the plane went down, if it did go down. At this stage, very sketchy details. 13 different nationalities on board. The majority on that plane were Chinese nationals.
Based on reports from Reuters and Interfax, a Malaysian Airlines flight with about 295 people on board has crashed, we are told, from reports in Reuters and Interfax. This happened in Ukraine near the Russian border. Interfax is citing an aviation industry source as saying this on Thursday. At this point, it looks as if this Boeing plane was flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. Reuters could not immediately confirm, we're told, this Interfax report. But again, this information, everyone is asking, no doubt, a lot of questions right now. It is, we are told, a Malaysian Airlines flight. That is what Reuters is reporting. The flight went down, according to Reuters, between Russia and Ukraine, and there were some 290 people on board.
More information pertaining to this flight that allegedly went down in the Ukraine. Now, as we get more information, things change, but I want to point this out. The man that you're looking at here was said to have been killed aboard the Flight 17 that went down. His last social media post was this, out the window, a picture of the plane that he was boarding, stating that this is it, if anything happens, this is what it looks like. Kind of joking in hints to Flight 370. Well, now we know that apparently they're stating this guy and many others are gone. Problem is, when you observe the plane that this man boarded, it is a different plane than what went down in the Ukraine. This is Plane Spotters. You see that tail number? MRC? This is big information. You see that RC right there? That right there is the plane that this guy took a picture of out the window and that he was boarding. I mean, they're right there, getting ready to walk in. Is there any other way to verify this? No, but with all of everything else that we've found thus far that should not have been there, stuff that does not make sense, all these red flags, this is just another one. And you can't overlook it because this could be potentially huge. The plane that went down has an RD. This is supposed to be the Flight 17 here. And you can see MRD right down here on the back. Many people jumped the gun and were claiming that this was Flight 370. So many people wanting to fit this into their own conspiracy theory. And look, things change. Information changes. And theories are going to change. With that said, but you can't go trying to make something out of something that's not. If I thought that this was Flight 370 at the gate, I would have said so. I'd never thought, because just of the information that we've got thus far. But the game is always changing. See that MRD? That is definitive proof, guys, that this flight right here with the MRD on the back hatch was blown to pieces. This plane right here with that RD, somehow, some way, at some point, it was blown to pieces. So, whether it was on the ground or in the air, it's been destroyed, and that piece right there shows it. Now, people were thinking that this was Flight 370. If it was 370, you would see MRO on the back, and you would see RO up here on that wheel section. Okay, plus a huge difference between Flight 370 and these other craft, if you're paying attention, is the engine. The Rolls-Royce engine is different. Do you see that? Now the RD and the RC both have these flat, flush engines on here. Flight 370 didn't. It had an indentation, like an intake part, right here all the way around it. That is a big difference. Remember that.
And we're told now that we have video from the moment the plane crashed. We're seeing this now for the first time. Let's take a look. to re-rack that just to take another look. It's obviously very far in the distance from where this video was. You don't actually, as far as we can see. It does seem that it came down relatively in one area, or at least the biggest part of it can't seem to have come down in one area. Look, it's obviously very far in the distance from where this video was. You don't actually, as far as we can see. Look, it's obviously very far in the distance from where this video was. You don't actually, as far as we can see. You don't actually, as far as we can see. As far as we can see.
I'm asking you.
Wouldn't be the first time.
No, that's true. But I'm asking you, I mean, there's all you're willing to present publicly that backs up your version of the story, which may well be the correct version of the story, but all you have, well, it may well be, but you know, I don't know. Because I haven't seen your evidence that shows that the missile was launched from rebel-held territory. But you're saying, so the only thing you're willing to put out publicly is the social media accounts. I mean, the social media.
That's part of it.
Right, but there is social media account that says that disputes that, or that claims to present a different version. So
what would that version be, Matt?
Well, I don't. There are many theories, but you're saying
most
that all
of which are
those
completely
accounts,
illogical.
Well,
I would point out
all of the accounts that do not support your version of events are wrong, and all of the ones that do support it are right.
Look, we make assessments based on a variety of intelligence and a variety of information, some of which we can talk about publicly and some of which we can't. And we also, and look, if you just take a step back, right, we need there to be an investigation so we can get all the facts, period. But on top of that, we have public information, which is, of course, the easiest for us to talk about, of the separatists bragging about having the system, bragging about the attack that took place, and then walking back from it when it became known that it was a passenger jet. I would ask people who don't believe our assessment to say, okay, what other possible explanation could there be for that? They defy logic, right?
Well, I don't know if it
so
defies
when you start from a place of you have separatists out, again, this is the easiest piece of information for us to talk about, online bragging about it.
Today, the Federal Air Traffic Control Agency has acquired some objective control material from Rostov Regional Center of Unified Air Traffic Control System. The video clip presents the air control information on aerial situation in the region in the period from 5 hours 19 minutes p.m. to 5 hours 25 minutes p.m. Moscow time on 17th of July 2014. Boeing 777 is heading towards the Russian Federation state boundary and is to cross it in the point of Tonak. At 5 hours 20 minutes p.m. at the distance of 51 kilometers from Russian Federation state boundary, at the azimuth of 300 degrees, the aircraft started to lose its speed abruptly. At 5 hours 21 minutes 35 seconds p.m. with the aircraft speed of 200 kilometers per hour at the point of Boeing crash, there is new mark of an aircraft to be seen. The air control officer inquiring the characteristics of the newly appeared aircraft couldn't possibly get them, because it's quite possible that the aircraft had no secondary detection system mounted on it, which is pretty typical for military aircraft. The early detection of this aircraft appeared to be quite impossible because the aerial situation control is usually performed by radars working in a standby mode, which detection possibilities at the given distance are over 5,000 meters altitude. The detection of the aircraft turned out to be possible as the aircraft ascended. The further aircraft flight properties changes on its route testify to the fact that it is now flying in the area of Boeing crash. Earlier, the Ukrainian officials reported that on the day of the Mh17 crash, there were no military aircraft available in this region. So, as you can see, this doesn't appear to be true. Pretty typical for military aircraft. At 5 hours, 21 minutes, 35 seconds p.m., with the aircraft speed of 200 kilometers per hour at the point of Boeing crash, there is new mark of an aircraft to be seen.
So, continuing on from this flight Mh17 that has either been crashed or who knows what the truth is right now. There's so many theories. But right now I just want to talk about the passports that have allegedly been found from passengers on this flight. You will notice one major thing. The passports that are being shown as evidence seem to be all brand new passports with 0 stamps and no visas, and yet they're all brand new. It just seems strange that all these passports look brand spanking new. Yet another even more strange thing is these passports have allegedly come from a smoldering wreckage from the flight Mh17 airplane. Yet they have no burning marks, they have no creases, they're not cut in half. It just seems very strange. So how can these passports have come from a smoldering, burning mess? I just don't know. I have no explanation other than it's all a big hoax and it's not real. It's a false flag attack. Another thing I need to point out, if you take a look at this Malaysian passport, here we go. This Malaysian passport, it has a triangle cut out. You may be aware or may not be aware, when you have your passport and it's expiring or expired or any number of reasons, maybe it's damaged, you can return your passport to your government and you can get a new passport. And when they issue your new passport, they also send back your old passport. But they send your old passport back to you with a cut, some kind of cut on the front page or the back page. So this one here, the Malaysian authorities have cut a triangle in the front page to signify this is either an expired passport or something wrong with the passport. So they make a big triangle to let people know that this is not a valid passport anymore. So why would the passenger be flying with this passport? Why would the passenger have an expired, invalid passport? And why would they be flying with this? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. And just to prove here, if you do a search, this Malaysian passport, another passport, has the triangle cut out to signify there's a problem with the passport. Maybe it's expired, maybe it's damaged, and here's their new passport. So there's many questions that have not been answered, but it shows that this definitely has to be a false flag attack. Could it be that the missing Mh370 is actually this flight? And I just have no idea anymore. Everything is fake in this world. I don't know what to believe anymore.
During this whole disaster that took place in the Ukraine involving Flight 17, this man states that the bodies had practically no blood and that they already smelled of decomposition.
We were having dinner when we heard a strange noise that sounded like clapping. As soon as we went out of the house, we saw a body lying nearby. It must have fallen from a very high altitude. The only thing left on the body was a t-shirt. It was a man. The legs were broken. I saw practically no blood. Now you can smell this odor over here. There are no words to describe it. Here...
That's my point, is that this guy said the bodies fell from way up out of the sky. They come down, they saw practically no blood. A woman before this man gives her account as well, and you heard what he also just said there. There was the smell. Okay, people that were just killed, it's not like that, guys. I've been around, I've seen dead bodies. I know if you guys don't understand what's taking place here, it looks to be like the people that were aboard this plane, some of them at least were potentially already dead.
Сейчас мы видим с вами фотографии с места крушения Боинга 27 июля, село Грабово, это Шахтерский район. Здесь на данной фотографии обломки моторной части самолета. Также здесь были тела экипажа непосредственно. Это все тоже оттуда. Я хочу сакцентировать внимание на том, что фрагменты тел, которые лежали на асфальте в дневное время суток, вокруг них был влажный какой-то ореол. Это не была кровь, это жир, какая-то жидкость, что угодно, но не кровь. Ночью эти же фрагменты тел обрастали вот эти вот места, становились зеленые при съемке. На фотографиях было отчетливо видно зелень, как ил на воде.
А вот по поводу, говорили, запаха, то есть обычно свежие, ну, как бы погибшие, сразу запаха ж нет, да?
Нет, нет. Смотрите, запах был нестерпимый, была гарь и какой-то химический запах от тел. Но возле самой крупной части, возле фюзеляжа, вот он, там стоять было даже рядом просто невозможно. Там реально выедало глаза, запах был формалина. Или вот запах морга. И вот эта вот часть, она, такое ощущение складывается, что она пропитанная. Там реально больше 5 минут не выстоишь возле него. Здесь, вот через дорогу, вот здесь, лежат основные, ну, основное место там, где тела. Сейчас я покажу. Вот он. Вот тут лежит фюзеляж. Тут этот запах тоже был присущ, но вот основной возле фюзеляжа.
Это получается вы туда...
Вот смотри, изуродованное тело, но крови не было. Там было очень много птиц. Птицы, там где вот птички пораненные, разорванные, там кровь птичья есть. Вот прям кровь запекшаяся, свежая, как угодно. От тел не было ни единой капли крови. Какие бы повреждения на телах ни были. Мы работали там, еще была одна корреспондент, она перед этим, у нее был опыт 2 авиакрушений.
То есть она работала на съемках,
она говорит, там был океан крови. И в первом, и во втором случае. Здесь крови нет. И первые вот полчаса, когда мы туда приехали, складывал, ну я, например, не могла себя заставить поверить в то, что это люди. Я это все видела, все понимала, но то, что это люди, вот манекены из магазина.
Это получается, как быстро вы выехали на...
Через 20 минут я уже была там. Вот он упал, и через 20 минут я уже была там.
А это что?
Это птицы. Вот, ты видишь? Посмотри. Вот она изуродованная кровь, где?
То есть, получается, оно как бы никаких луж, просто как тела такие, уже разложившиеся.
Не раздутые. Вот пластиковые, желтые пластиковые тела. Очень много из Норвегии или откуда? Из Нидерландов, да? Самое большое количество из Нидерландов. Я обошла почти все тела. Они сплошь почти азиатские. Я своими глазами реально не видела ни одного тела с европейской внешностью.
Families in limbo, a nation in mourning. This is the image of heartbreak in the Netherlands, where a bittersweet homecoming is unfolding right now. The first bodies from Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 arriving back home on Dutch soil. The families of those victims will welcome their return, as will government officials and even Dutch royals. Most of the 298 people killed were from the Netherlands.
Я своими глазами реально не видела ни одного тела с европейской внешностью.
You see the Dutch military, members of the Air Force, I believe, on that tarmac, and you've seen a huge transport plane, looks like a Galaxy to me, that landed with the majority of the bodies that have already been found. And another plane as well, a C-130 transport. One of them was a Dutch Air Force plane, the other was a Royal Australian Air Force plane, and as I said, Australia lost so many people as well. And on the tarmac there, in this silent tribute, because we understand there will not be speeches, that is not a moment even for prayers to be said publicly or any kind of political or other kind of speeches. This apparently will be a silent tribute, just the Dutch royals, the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, other family members as well, gathered here to see their remains of their loved ones brought out of that flight.
Вот все малазийцы, азиаты, кто, я не знаю, но европейской внешности я не видела ни одного. Вот видишь, вот это свежее. Сейчас. Вот оно, мясо свежее. Оно даже вид нормальный, живой имеет. Угу. С людьми такого нет. И чемоданы. Очень много чемоданов, запакованные, сложенные, но там зимние вещи теплые.
Чемоданы.
В чемоданах.
Это было лето.
А это было лето. Летних вещей в чемоданах не было, все теплое.
А то, что по поводу детей там говорили, что чуть ли не полсамолета детей было.
Ну, я где-то 6-7 видела.
Ну, не полсамолета.
Да. Ну, вот видишь, вот посмотри.
Такое ощущение, что я где-то...
Ну вот она, ну где кровь?
Почему у него черные губы?
Да, крови нет.
А крови нет, действительно. Я так понимаю, вот там, где кровь, на этом фрагменте, это птицы бились, да, наверное?
Ну вот это основное скопление тел вот здесь, в этом месте. Здесь и вот тут они. Очень много вот здесь.
То есть, в принципе, получается, что было впечатление, что люди как-то были расположены конкретно какими-то кучками в самолете, если скопление в определенных местах, они по самолету сидели.
Нет, вот они все в одном месте, основная масса. Да, они рассеянные в радиусе 10 километров, понятно, они летели, много летели, но основная вот масса, они все были в одном месте. Документы тоже. Меня лично интересует вопрос. Почти все документы не поврежденные. Я не знаю, как так получается, но они почти все целые.
Остальные какие-то там бумаги были еще, которые были не повреждены?
Было очень много документов. Бумажек, документов, всего подряд. Очень много. И смотри, основное, они не сгорели ничего. Мы очень много находили, телефоны, там, планшеты, фотоаппараты. пересматривали специально на месте, все пересматривали, все флешки, там вот все, что было возможно. С 2014 года нигде нет ни одной фотографии, все датировано 2013.
Вообще на карте.
Вообще, вот оно все с 2013 года, октябрь, сентябрь, август. Но с 2014 года не было ни одной, ты понимаешь?
А телефоны не проверяли звонки?
Телефонные звонки не проверяли, мы вставляли флешки в свои телефоны, там, ну, где экран лопнутый, где он просто не включался, невозможно было это проверить. Мы переставляли к себе флешки и смотрели фотографии. Потом это все мы собрали, все документы, флешки, телефоны, все целое, поломанное, все в одну машину, и это увезли. Как вот мне сразу сказали, увезли вроде бы в Красный Луч. Но куда точно, не знаю. Ну что такое?
Это желтые, да? Непонятно. И белые какие, как будто, да, действительно, как...
Видишь, они вымоченные.
Как обескровленные предварительно, такое впечатление.
Вот, посмотри, видишь, голова как раскололась?
Да. Согласна. Там должно быть очень много крови. Оно как законсервировано.
Они вымоченные. И очень много, вот человек, наверное, 20 было с фрагментами одежды. Все остальные голые. Ну, совсем голые. При полете, я понимаю, воздух одежду срывает. Но все равно какой-то носок остался, какой-то шнурок. Хотя бы след от резинки. Вот, сними с себя одежду, все равно будет след от резинки где-то. А они нет.
Это ребенок, да, судя по всему?
Да, это ребенок, мальчик.
Все, хорошо. Ты бросила мне, да?
Да. Это не надо вообще. Вот нога, а что она? Естественная живая нога, что ли? Вот посмотри на нее.
Ну да.
Many feel that the Malaysian authorities reflect what people are saying on the street closer than most other governments. This conference has been organised with one central message: to criminalise war and to hold those who wage it to account. And of course this message is particularly poignant in the light of recent events in Gaza, where Palestinian civilians were massacred with virtual impunity. Speakers at the conference said that Israel's war on Gaza was a classic example of the rich and the powerful crushing the weak and defenceless. Over 1,300 Palestinians, mostly civilians, were killed. Israel said it was targeting Hamas fighters, who were firing rockets into its territory. But the Malaysian Foreign Minister called for an international war crimes tribunal to be set up to prosecute Israeli leaders.
We drag a person to court to be prosecuted for his act of having killed someone. We use the maxim mens rea in determining his murderous intent. But we simply allow a neighboring state to marauder thousands with guns, airstrikers, chemicals, and tanks.
I feel that his hands are tied. Most American presidents, and I would say including Obama, may not take any stand against Israel without losing considerable support in the US itself. the Israeli lobby in the US is truly powerful, and they can determine who wins and who loses in elections.
But today the Jews rule this world by proxy. They get others to fight and die for them. They invented socialism, communism, human rights and democracy so that persecuting them would appear to be wrong, so they may enjoy equal rights with others. With these, they have now gained control of the most powerful countries, and they, this tiny community, have become a world power. The world now lives in fear. We are afraid of everything. We are afraid of flying, afraid of certain countries, afraid of bearded Asian men, afraid of the shoes airline passengers wear.
Mr. Mahathir defended Muslims, tracing the roots of terrorism to injustice and inequality, dubbing both Palestinian and Israeli acts of aggression as acts of terror, going against what he called double standards of the West.
These blatant double standards is what infuriates Muslims, infuriates them to the extent of launching their own terror attacks. If Iraq is linked to the Al-Qaeda, is it not more logical to link the persecution and oppression of the Palestinians with September 11th? War must therefore be made illegal. The enforcement of this must be by multilateral forces under the control of the United Nations. No single nation should be allowed to police the world, least of all to decide what action to take when.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you for allowing me to speak here today. We're here to discuss a tragedy, the downing of a commercial airliner and the death of 298 innocent people. Men, women, and a staggering number of children.
А то, что по поводу детей там говорили, что чуть ли не полсамолета детей было.
Ну, я где-то 6-7 видела.
Ну, не полсамолета.
Since Thursday, I've been thinking how horrible must have been the final moments of their lives when they knew the plane was going down. Did they lock hands with their loved ones? Did they hold their children close to their hearts? Did they look each other in the eyes one final time in a wordless goodbye? We will never know. The demise of almost 200 of my compatriots has left a hole in the heart of the Dutch nation.
Я обошла почти все тела. Они сплошь почти азиатские. Я своими глазами реально не видела ни одного тела с европейской внешностью. Вот все малазийцы, азиаты, кто, я не знаю, но европейской внешности я не видела ни одного.
The last couple of days we've received very disturbing reports of bodies being moved about and looted for their possessions.
Все увидели, кого не сбивали. Видите?
just for 1 minute, I'm not addressing you as representatives of your countries, but as husbands and wives, fathers and mothers, just imagine that you first get the news that your husband was killed, and then within 2 or 3 days, you see images of some thug removing a wedding band from their hands. Just imagine that this could be your spouse.
Active war zone, so to have an impartial investigation there that can safely conduct its work is going to.
I will use my energy, my experience and my conviction to support President Juncker in making a success of his agenda for jobs, growth, fairness and democratic change. We need to restore our citizens' confidence in the capacity of the EU to deliver. We need to show by very practical results that the EU and its institutions are not self-serving, but are there to serve our citizens and member states.